Story time on how my boyfriend married my mom and got her pregnant. It's giving stepdaddy. It's giving betrayal. Anyways, so boom. I was 17 at the time, my boyfriend was 20, and my mom was 35. So me and my boyfriend were together for 2 years, but it was very rocky because he couldn't keep his third leg in his pants. I would go to my mom for advice, but she was always on his side. You know that one family member or friend you go to for advice, and instead of hearing you out, they say, "What did you do?" Yeah, that was my mom. I would be like, "Hey mom, George cheated on me." Let's call him George. And she would say, "Well, honey, what did you do to cause George to cheat on you?" Like, what? Anyways, one day I decided I no longer wanted to be treated like crap, so I left George, and I left George for good. But guess what? He was always still around because my mom would always invite him to dinners and movies, and that was just the beginning. Like for part 2. Part 2 on how my boyfriend married my mom and got her pregnant. Yes, it was giving stepdaddy. So like I said, I broke up with my boyfriend because he was a serial cheater, but my mom was still inviting him over. I would tell my mom to stop, but she kept saying that he was family. I was so pissed at my mom that I literally always stayed in my room, and when he would come over, I would hear them downstairs watching movies and laughing. I thought it was weird, but I definitely didn't think they would have gotten married, let alone have my little sister. Well, 2 weeks after our breakup, yes, just 2 weeks, one night when my ex-boyfriend George was over, I all of a sudden didn't hear them downstairs watching a movie, but I did hear my mom's room door slam shut. Then I heard thumping, and that wasn't about to happen on my watch. I ran to open the door, but the door was locked, so I started knocking. My mom opened the door, and I seen her hair in shambles and my ex on her bed. Like for part 3. Part 3 on how my boyfriend married my mom and got her pregnant. Yes, stepdaddy, we get it. So like I said, I heard thumping in my mom's room, so I ran and opened the door, but it was locked. So I knocked. She opened the door, and her hair was in shambles with my ex on her bed. And might I add, he was naked. I cried and said, "How could you do this to me?" Do you know what this lady said? She said, "Well, sweetie, I understand him. You guys weren't compatible. And we're getting married Sunday, so this is something you're gonna have to get used to." I attacked my mom, fought her, beat her actually, and I moved in with my dad, who was disgusted by her. I bet you guys are hoping she didn't actually marry him. Well, she did, and she ended up pregnant. I had the last laugh, because fast forward a year later, and my mom is crying in tears. And y'all wouldn't believe why. The story gets crazier. Like for part 4. Part 4 on how my ex married my mom and got her pregnant. He graduated to stepdaddy, but not for long. So like I said, fast forward a year later, I had the last laugh because here is my mom crying her eyes out. Why, you may ask? Oh yeah, he was cheating a lot. And with younger girls. He even tried to get back with me. I laughed at my mom and said, "Oh, I thought you understood him, You must be doing something to make him cheat. Karma's a bee." And my mom was pregnant with a girl, but unfortunately she had a miscarriage. Rest in peace to my sister. That's the only part I'm actually sad about. She ended up divorcing my ex, and now she's left with nothing. No husband, 2 failed marriages, no relationship with your daughter. And don't feel bad for her, guys. She went for her sister's man next. But that's a whole nother story.
Story time of the most dirtiest college roommate ever. By the way, we're calling her Jessie. So I moved in before Jessie, and I get settled and decorate. The next day, she comes and throws her bag on the bed, then leaves. I thought it was weird because she didn't even say anything to me. Couple hours later, she comes back, and I'm like, hello? And she's like, "My bad," and comes gives me a hug. She smelled very bad. She starts unpacking all of her clothes and blankets, but they smelled like mildew. Anyways, a week later, there's this party going on for freshmen, and she goes, but I stay in because I had a migraine. I told her that when she comes back, can she keep the light off? Now it's 2 a.m., and she comes back in very loud, uses the bathroom, then goes to sleep. And now I'm up, so I got up to use the bathroom too. When I sit down on the toilet, I feel something very squishy. It was dark because, like I said, I had a migraine. I get up, turn the light on, and I was sitting in her shit.
So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had this teacher who would only let the students in her class use the restroom 1 time per semester. Well, one day I raised my hand and I was like, "Excuse me," I don't remember her name, "can I please use the restroom?" And she was like, "No, you can't because you've already used the restroom in my class this semester." well, excuse me, you can't dictate my bladder. So I'm like all frustrated, and I started secretly texting my mom because I wasn't allowed to use my phone in class. And I was like, Mom, I'm sitting in class right now. My teacher won't let me use the restroom. And she was like, I'll take care of it for you. And I was like, okay. So like 5 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden my teacher's phone starts ringing, and she walks up to it and answers it, and she's like, hello? Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then she walks up to me like so angry, and she like slams the pass on my desk, and she was like, since you have to go that bad. And I was like, yeah, I really do, thanks. And I got up and left. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. It was just the principle of it. I just roamed the halls.
Put a finger down if in high school you had a YouTube channel and your whole school knew about it so you weren't embarrassed, and one day when you were sitting in your first period class, a girl came up to you and asked you why you were promoting your YouTube channel in the girls' washroom, and you had no idea what she was talking about, so obviously you ran to the washroom to investigate, and you found that written on the back of every single bathroom stall door was your YouTube channel and comments about how you were so amazing and beautiful and how everyone should subscribe to you. And this was really embarrassing because everyone was accusing you of writing these things, but you weren't. So you wrote a message back and asking this person to stop writing these things, and then the next day you found that they had leaked your personal information and written down your address on the bus that you take to school. So now you're really creeped out and you were scared that someone was stalking you. So you and your friends were determined to figure out who this person was. And the next day when you went to school, you all hid in a different washroom of the school trying to catch this person red-handed. And while you were hiding in the washroom, you noticed that a girl came out without flushing and she was holding a red marker. So you knew that you had caught her red-handed. So you followed her out of the washroom, and you and all your friends went up to her and asked her if she was the one that had been writing on the bathroom stall. Like for a part 2, it gets so good.